Again, my name is Dux. In case I haven't met you, it's a privilege. That's my real name. Feel free to call me Dux. I won't get offended. So, I had a hard time growing up that name and got my ducks in a row now. And just to clarify, there's been some confusion this morning. I'm not that guy. We share the same last name, but I think my style is better. You tell me. So, very stoked, very excited this morning to talk about this revolution. Now, what are you talking about, Dux? Rob just painted a very bleak picture of the legal industry. You're talking about some revolution? It's about time, right? And unfortunately, we like it or not, we're ready or not, it's here. Really? Yeah. This whole idea of the enterprise social revolution has come and maybe gone just under our eyes. How do you know, Dux? Well, there's 4 things that's happening in the world today, and especially in your world. First and foremost, this whole world of BYOD, bring your own device. Not only from a hardware perspective, I was looking around, we got iPads, Surfaces, Androids, iPhone. Somebody had the iOS 7 showing to me this morning. Just kidding. They bought it off eBay, I guess. But that's the reality, yes? As IT, that's kind of hard, especially with partners wanting their iPads hooked up to our environment. What do you do? What do you do in this day and age where everything is just happening so fast? Mergers and acquisitions. Boom! The NSA suddenly came out of nowhere. Bunch of legal work in there. Some guy put a video on YouTube. 5 months later, it's the most watched video on YouTube. Things just happen. How do we deal with this? The other challenge Rob pointed out is we got to do more with less. I've been talking to a couple of CIOs in the legal industry in the past couple of years. Docs, my staff has been cut, budget has been cut, yet we still have to deliver the same set of services and even more to our constituents. What do? Just fiddle your thumb? And then lastly, we're in this age of engagement, collaboration is important. There's a big misconception about this concept of social, right? There's a lot of buzz around enterprise social, why it's great, why it's powerful, but every decision maker I talk to don't want it. Why? We don't want somebody posting their pictures of their cat on our intranet. We don't want no social. Folks, that's not it, right? When we talk about social, today's generation has these traits and characteristics that we can leverage in our organization. Number 1, and it doesn't have to be a young person, but we're in this day and age where we multitask. That's the new normal. You got your phone, you got your tablet, you're flipping TVs while you're singing a lullaby for your kid, right? Today we communicate in real time. Texting, calling, IMing. It's just the new normal. We should be able to work anytime, anywhere with anything. Down with VPN. I hate Citrix. Now, given I have to deal with compliance, so here and there I might still use it. But in today's social generation also expects seamless technology experience. I was having a great dinner last night with a couple of folks, and a common observation is that my personal technology is much better than my technology at work. Y'all with me? You feel the love? Pardon my deep southern accent. I'm from the deep south, originally from Manila, Philippines. Southeast Asia, that is. So the point being is, this is the revolution that's going on. And where are we on this revolution? Are we just sitting around waiting for some magic to happen? Waiting for Steve Jobs to come back? Bless his heart. We have to take it upon ourselves to make this revolution work for us. Now, Dux, don't get me wrong. I think we did what you wanted us to do. We did the whole SharePoint thing, right? Isn't SharePoint supposed to help collaboration? Knowledge management, document management. Does that picture look familiar? I have 2 kids. My daughter Danica is about to turn 3, and I'm quite disappointed in it. Being a parent, I shower her with toys. And recently I bought her a puzzle. She's into Tinkerbell now, right? Tinkerbell puzzle. And she just cracked the box open and started trying to play with it without even reading the instruction manual. 5 minutes later, she gets frustrated. Why won't this fit? Forget this. I'm going to go back to my dolls. You have those crying babies at work? Here's SharePoint. Go forth and collaborate. Wow, this is cool. Throw some files in there, have a portal. I don't have time for this. I just leave it there. I'll go back to my cutting-edge tool called email. What surprises me is we're in 2013. Everybody, again, has iPad 10, right? You have your next iPhone. We have TiVo at home because we have to record the voice. We have GPS in our car because we have to figure out how to get here. And we use a 1973 technology called email, mostly to facilitate organizational collaboration, working with legal matters. Partners are notorious around that. Shame on us. It doesn't have to be that way. Because, gang, it doesn't work because SharePoint, while it's a 12-year-old product, has always been a technical play. It's always, what's this? SharePoint 2013? Okay, let's go ahead and install it. IT says let's do a pilot. Yeah. You're not using a machine, right? We throw the VM there, we'll do a pilot 2013. Y'all with me? Wow, this is cool. Let me hit up my buddy in marketing. Check this out, 2013. Booyah. Marketing individual goes, wow, this is really nice. Let me get sales to use it. 2 weeks later, it's your production intranet. Don't raise your hand. 3 weeks later, 60,000 freaking sites, permissions up the wazoo, SharePoint sucks. I tell you, when you go back to work, somebody tell you SharePoint sucks, look at them straight in the eye and say, SharePoint doesn't suck, you suck. I was talking about you, Kara. It's a freaking tool. You're not. See, the problem is, this SharePoint thing, which is supposed to help us win this revolution, doesn't work because what? It's pure technology play. And as Rob brought up earlier, where's the business in this? Right? Does the executives really understand what this is all about? What about the users themselves? What's in it for me? I was advising a large organization 3 months ago. They're going to roll out 2013 to 80,000 people worldwide. The IT director goes to us, check this out, what do you think? We're going to put a bunch of templates, we're going to use the news feeds, the likes, the wikis. I go, whoa. Why? Why? Dead silence in the room just like this. Makes me insecure being an immigrant. And my English not good enough. So I changed it up. I said, ¿por qué? Por favor. Why? What are you talking about? Why do you need the newsfeed, a like, a wiki? Why? Isn't that the new thing? Isn't that the enterprise social thing? The businesses, they want a wiki. For what? To me, a wiki is only good for in the club. Wiki, wiki, wiki. If you cannot tell me how a wiki would help Miss Sally, who's processing invoices every month in accounting, then don't do it. Don't. What's value? See, when we talk about enterprise social, I love this definition from Gartner. It's the most succinct and straight up definition. It says, can you read it with me? I'm going to count to 3, right? Read it with me. 1, 2, 3. Enterprise social is an important method for enhancing communication, coordination, and collaboration for business purposes. Does this say anything about liking, news feeds, tagging, SharePointing. No. We get so caught up on the technology buzzwords that we lose sight of what it means for our business. Here's how you change them. So what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you some examples, I'm going to show you 3 specific steps on how you can win this revolution. And winning the revolution is being able to sustain adoption. You see, a lot of companies say, hey, docs, we need more adoption. Because we have SharePoint, but really it's just a big file dump. You know, 80% of SharePoint deployment globally is nothing but a big file dump. Yeah? I see head shake. And when we think adoption, I'm not just saying training. Yeah, training is a part of it. When we think about adoption, it involves the people, but also the sustainability of SharePoint, the solutions you put in. So I'm going to share 3 specific steps on how you can get started with this. I've been doing this line of work in the last 12, 13 years. Just like Rob, I've been involved with SharePoint from the get-go. I live and work in Washington, D.C. We have an office in Atlanta. And these days, we help a lot of organizations, legal industries included, to think about how you maximize this platform. So first things first. The first step to be able to drive sustainable adoption is you have to engage key business stakeholders. I mentioned earlier, executive ignorance is not bliss. No offense meant, a lot of executives who ordered SharePoint to be put in place, we need SharePoint, we need a portal, has no clue. All right? Let me ask you this. We say SharePoint is a platform, it's a business enablement tool. What's the budget line item look like for SharePoint every year? Who has SAP? SAP or CRM or some PeopleSoft, large ERP software? They have a separate line item for that in the budget, right? It's like $10,000? What are you smoking, ducks? Yeah, there's a line item for SAP, for software, hardware, consulting, training, whatever, support. There's a line item for PeopleSoft. Is there a line item for SharePoint? Not really, ducks. It falls in our Microsoft bucket. It falls in our Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. Y'all with me? Well, that's cool, but the technology is just the icing on the cake. The cake itself is never considered, right? If you want it to work for you as a platform, treat it as a platform. It's our responsibility to raise engagement, not only to executives, but to the business as well. So, okay, guys, how do you do that, right? I get you, it has to provide value, ROI, but give me a simple example. Rob earlier was talking about, think about SharePoint as more than just a portal, more than just an internet. What I highly recommend, as a baby step and a low-risk approach, think about your day-to-day pain points. Start there. It's easy. It's not going to cost a lot of time and money and effort, but you can see the value right away. So one of the key areas, in fact, there's a track or there's a session around this, is projects. Anybody not working on a project? We all work in a project. And the killer tool for project management today is still email and Excel and network share. Y'all with me? But what if we can facilitate that exercise in a more efficient manner? So I'm going to show you, I recorded a quick video. This is all in 2013. What if we can do this in our firms?
Meet my colleague Alex. He and I are working on putting together a presentation for our boss. Thanks to SharePoint 2013, we're able to easily centralize and manage all related artifacts and communications for this project. On a typical day, Alex would start working from home using his Mac. He would check his email from a browser and start work from there. Looks like Alex is reviewing the task for the project, and he has some questions for me about the project. Just by using the browser, he's able to instant message me using technologies like Link. One of the key benefits of SharePoint 2013 is the deep integration with existing tools that we already use, like Microsoft Office, smartphones, and even web-based technologies. So even if I'm out and about, I'm still not at the office yet, I can easily respond to Alex on my phone and update my tasks. The beauty with SharePoint 2013 is that I can continue working with Alex once I get to the office. You just assign me a task on the project site, and look at what happens. It automatically shows up on my task list in Microsoft Outlook. Isn't that cool, or what? Additionally, within Outlook, I can email the entire team directly using this neat feature called Site Mailbox. The Site Mailbox is available not only in Outlook, but it's the same Site Mailbox that the team can see and interact with directly on the project site. The Site Mailbox also provides visibility to all the documents I have in the project site. So what do you think? Are you excited? I am. This is the new way to work together with SharePoint 2013.
So what do you guys think of 2013 so far? Good stuff? Yeah? Yeah, we can give Microsoft props for that. Yeah. Come on, it's okay. Now, what I want you to get to, friends, is this concept and thinking around SharePoint being a platform. We keep saying platform, 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 but folks, what does that really mean? If you look at this picture, commonly we use SharePoint as our portal, as our intranet. Well, great. But what if we can take advantage of this platform, this tool, we can extend it to other uses in the organization to manage projects, to work on projects, for example, for HR, or for internal corporate communications. But here's the bigger piece of the puzzle. And I want to stress on this, gang, because we fail at this miserably. We always take SharePoint and look at SharePoint just from the browser application level. But we fail to look at the other end of the spectrum on how seamless it can be to connect with a client. And that's important around sustainable adoption. What do you mean? Well, a lot of people tell me, Docs, our users just don't like to go to the browser and upload documents, blah, blah, blah. They like their Outlook. They like their Excel. They like their mobile. Y'all with me? That's okay. Start there. What if you can take advantage of tools people are comfortable with, right? And use that as an entry point to SharePoint. What? For example. So let me go back to this project. So this is the video I created earlier. So this is SharePoint 2013. This is a SharePoint team site where I'm using it to manage projects. So in the spirit of a one-stop shop, all my tasks are here, documents, and yes, I'm using a Mac. Get over it. I'm part of the revolution. 2013 is full cross-browser, cross-platform compatible. Neat little feature here called Timeline View. So you have your milestones in there. It's pretty cool. My document library, my newsfeed, very social-like. Here's the other cool thing. I get stoked just by showing this off. So I got this PowerPoint. Check this out. So I'm in my Mac. This is what's called a Finder. It's kind of like Windows Explorer. Check out how I'm going to upload. Drag and drop. Easy schmeezy. Is that cool? I'm the only guy excited. Tough crowd. Now, let's take a scenario. And this actually happened. So let's say you're in your world, you're using this as a repository for project artifacts and communications. And one of the things you do as a part of working with clients is you do a lot of remote work. I mean, I work in the oil and gas industry, and one of the things they do, especially when they do site inspections, and when they're building new stuff like like a gas station, it has to be OSHA compliant. Y'all follow me? They use SharePoint. And one of my customers, their pain point was, Docs, we have to subscribe to OSHA. We have to send them if there's cracks in the building or even videos. But usually we go on site, we take our iPad, and we take a picture or sometimes video and we email it. Well, it will go to the other side. The problem is it's not part of this one-stop shop. It's still disjointed. Y'all follow me? Is there a way we can use our iPads and kind of integrate it with this? I go, of course. So here's the solution. I'm like, in 2013, by the way, every site has this thing called Site Notebook. Y'all remember OneNote? OneNote? I love OneNote. Right? If you're using Evernote, throw that away. OneNote's much better. So every site has a OneNote notebook, and it doesn't have to be from a mobile perspective. So this is my project site. It's up on Office 365. I'm accessing it using my phone. It could be any phone. It doesn't have to be a Windows phone. All right. So here's the scenario. So let's say I'm in a project. I'm on site, and there's something that I have to take a picture of. It could be video, audio, text, whatever. Right? I just need to take a picture. Can you help me, sir? All right. So what I'd like you to do is take a picture directly onto OneNote with me and everybody else. So that means you have to stand up and go in front. All right. So I'm going to have Rob. Okay. So I'm going to have Rob take a photo of me with everyone. So make sure you smile. I'm going to tag you on Facebook later. just take a picture of me and everybody else, and then just punch the middle. Have you used a Windows phone before?
No.
Just tap on the screen. Wait, I need to post. You got it? Yep. Okay. All right. Yep. Thank you. Let's give Rob a big round of applause. You want to get people adopt? Use a phone. People get excited with their phone, their tablets. You know, I'm in DC. You talk about change management. DC is the toughest place. But there's not anyone that I don't know, or let me change that up. Everybody I know, regardless of their age and generation, they love their phones and tablets, all the apps. I just had Rob took a photo. Well, first of all, I went to the project site, opened up that same OneNote notebook, and had him take a photo of me because I'm in this project. Y'all with me? As soon as this syncs and it hits, give it a few seconds, boom, it'll show up in my project notebook. And if workflow is there, y'all know workflow? Relevant people in my OSHA team will get an alert. Hey, Dux is on site. Look at what he just uploaded. You see the value? You see the shift from transactional systems? You see that? Yeah. I know in the legal industry, everything's so hierarchical. Everything is so transactional. While that's okay, we have capabilities today to move from transactional systems to engagement systems. And it's here. And you're thinking, well, Doc, you got 2013. We're still not there. But guess what? This has been there since 2010. No excuses. Step 2. Once you get your buy-in from the executives, and the key there is to demonstrate business value. And again, it doesn't have to be complex stuff. We all get caught up, we need to build a SharePoint, extranet, hook it up to SAP, CRM, web services, run DMC. No. Start with day-to-day pain points. Low risk, low approach, quick wins, and build upon that. Step 2. To lead this revolution, to gain sustainable adoption, you have to establish a roadmap. My movie's coming out. I gotta fess up. Oops. My name is not really Dux. My name is Dux L. My father's Jor-El. My grandfather is Kal-El. And I thought I could do SharePoint all on my own, you know. I was a Windows admin guy, and one day I was knighted as a super SharePoint dude. You, Dux, roll out SharePoint in 3 months for 5,000 people on top of your job. You did that, right? Not going to happen. To be successful, IT alone cannot do this. While IT owns the platform, keeping the lights on, there needs to be proper business engagement, support maintenance, and adoption. So how do you do all this, Dux? You got to prioritize. Once the business sees the value, everybody wants everything for nothing. Agreed? I'm the most important partner here. You should serve me. IT. We just can't. So how do I do this, Dux? How do I prioritize without offending anybody? Here's a way that I've been doing it, and I'll share this with you. By the way, everything I'm showing here is being recorded, and all the templates and documents you get. Once this is done, I'll work with the ILTA team so you can download these as well with the checklist and whatnot. Do you like that? Yeah. It'll be $100 a download. No. So here's how I do it. So here's an example of a government organization I work with recently where I help prioritize their business needs and draw out their SharePoint roadmap. So in this example, the first sheet is I'm talking to the different business groups. I've got operations, HR, finance, and what I was doing, I was just talking to them, hey operations, what are your day-to-day business pain points, right? So what are you talking about, Doc? So I gave them examples, just like project management. Oh yeah, Doc, we got this thing called SOP creation. You know, it's so manual. We got to grab the file from the X drive and email it, and it's just a mess. If it could be more automated, more audited, it'd be better. So as they're describing their business process and pain point, on column C, I map it to a SharePoint feature or capability. That's actually a drop-down. So gang, let me show this to you. And here's what I'm trying to do here, friends. Listen. What I'm trying to do is to be able to tie and demonstrate the value of a SharePoint feature to support a business need. Why do you want a wiki? Because it's going to help project managers to document lessons learned much more effectively. Why do we need workflows? Because we can automate this thing where people used to do using email. Y'all with me? That piece we never do. So as I do this with a business group, it doesn't take too long, an hour, I ask them what's the most important for you to be addressed. HR might say, well, that's this onboarding process. If we can automate it, first thing we can solve, that will be huge. Right? And once that's done, here's where the analysis comes in. Now I flip the view, where in column A I have HR, operations, and the different business units I talk to, but check this out. Column B shows all the features I've extracted based on their business needs. Oftentimes people ask me, well, Doc, SharePoint has like 200,000 bazillion features. Should we do my size? Should we use publishing pages? I go, spice is niche. I don't know. Right? You always start with the business value. It's a freaking tool. And then based on these business or these capabilities, now I measure how important is it to the business. 5 being most important. Your lists and libraries will always be up on the list. What's the size and effort to build those lists for HR to solve their business problems? 2, what's a 2? I have my level standardization here. 1 is 20 hours, 2 is 3-person weeks, and this is based on my team's SharePoint skill set. Now, yours may be different. What's the impact to the business? 3, it's high impact because it's going to reduce people hanging out the whole way on their first day of work because onboarding process works much more effectively. Y'all follow me? And then I have also a measurement around reusability. How reusable are these lists we're going to build for HR? 3, meaning it's very reusable. We can templatize it. Not only can HR use it, other departments can use it. What's the total business value? 9. And we do that for every single thing. And here's the most important part. After you do this analysis, bring the decision makers in the room with IT and say, this is what SharePoint means. Y'all follow me? So if you're telling me as a Windows admin to roll out SharePoint in 3 months for 5,000 users, no way, Jose. What are we going to do and not do? And that's the gap. The business always say, we want SharePoint. Oh, here's SharePoint, but there's doesn't mean. Is this helpful? And then you also have to be realistic on how much can IT do and not do. Well, if we do these lists for HR, IT implementation impact is a 1. Maybe we have to set up more servers, configure AD. What's the support impact? A 1, 20 hours a month. What's the training impact? 20 hours. Total IT impact, 3. Now this is the part where you negotiate. HR might see this and say, oh, hold on. Lists are 9 for HR. We need that. But IT says, oh, no, it's a 3 for IT. We don't have that budget for this fiscal year. HR might go, but it's very useful. Why don't you pony up, HR? We, IT, put the platform in place. You want these solutions? You know, send one of our folks to training or get a consultant or have your folks be trained on this. But if you see the value, and then based on that conversation, gain a consensus, now you have a roadmap. Okay, based on what we can do and not do, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. This is a 15-month implementation roadmap or upgrade for this organization. Did it change? Yeah, it did. But we have a baseline to start with. And when that person comes to you and says, I don't like how SharePoint looks, make it pretty. You don't get that, right? Okay, let's see. I don't see anything about making SharePoint pretty here as a business need. Now, if it's a legitimate business need, since we have a new campaign or a conference, we'll put that in, but here's what the impact. And the good news about this, gang, is the business gets it. And they'll pony up. As SharePoint grows, especially in your world, you have to establish what your compliance strategy is about as a part of your roadmap. We have to take this seriously. For example, one of the things people do, and it's just human nature, is this idea of vanity searches. You know, you look yourself up on Google, right? Docs. Guess what? They'll take that behavior and do it at work too. What if somebody does a search on their own name within your intranet? Will a performance evaluation document show up? Will somebody else's salary information show up? Or social security? Personal identifiable information? Well, no, that's not going to happen here, docs. Prove it. How can you prove it? There's a lot of solutions out there. Unfortunately, out-of-the-box SharePoint doesn't support that. You know, one of the partners here, we use this a lot. It's their compliance tool. It's awesome. It's from AppPoint. But it can not only subscribe or support you with personal identifiable information, but also subscribe to key industry regulation, SOX, HIPAA, FDA Part 11. The third step to drive sustainable adoption is you have to be intentional about it. You have to facilitate. Hopefully you've realized that this is just not an IT play. You need to work with the business on this. You need to prioritize it with the business. And then last step, you have to be intentional. Adoption cannot just be, oh, we got our upgrade done. Ooh, man, we forgot training. Here, go to these training classes. That's what we do. Not going to work. When we talk about sustainable adoption, training alone is not enough. There's 3 phases to sustainable adoption. The first phase is you have to drive awareness. Awareness around the power of the platform. The wrong pitch IT does all the time around SharePoint is the pitch is, oh, you can do file sharing or document management. I've never said anything about file sharing. The wrong pitch that IT does is always taking a fast food-like approach. How do you like your SharePoint? Sites, surveys, quickies, want to supersize it? Let's throw some VCS. Next! That's what we do. No. Where do you want to get to? Listen, this is important, especially at your organizational level. You know what the 2 killer apps in companies today are? Across the board. What are the 2 killer apps? Especially in legal. Email and Excel. And PowerPoint maybe is up there. Y'all with me? So when we go to work, we fire up our computer, we fire up email or Outlook, and it stays there all day. We work in Excel. It gets my job done. That's how we think of those tools. You follow me? But do we think of SharePoint like that? It gets my job done. No. We think of SharePoint as some intranet or some portal where I look up my benefits or throw some files there. Right? We have to shift that thinking. Because today, nobody thinks of Word and says, I don't like how Word looks. Can you change how Word looks? I don't like how SharePoint looks. But how do you do that, ducks? You got to be able to drive excitement, facilitate change, and empower people. Okay, I'm going to show you another example. Okay, the picture's still there, man. That's cool. So I'm going to jump into my Windows environment. So here's another scenario, right? I'm going to bring up that same project site. So here's the scenario. So going back to this customer I work with, so in their company, we help them use SharePoint for project management. By the way, there's a good book called SharePoint Project Management. Go buy that. You can contribute 80 cents a copy to my son's college fund. Tell you what, for being here, everybody gets a free ebook copy. I'll work with the ILTA team, give you a code. You can download it from O'Reilly or Microsoft Press. All right? So this customer, at any given point in time, they have 100 projects in their organization. And one of the processes that they do at the end of the month is they email their expenses to Miss Sally. Let's call her Miss Sally in accounting. So Miss Sally in accounting at the end of the month has 100 Excel expense sheets on her inbox that she puts on her desktop, puts together a monthly project expenses report for management. You know Miss Sally? So I asked Miss Sally, I said, Miss Sally, how much time do you spend doing this? She goes, I spend 6-7 hours a month just to collate all these project expenses to make this report. I've been doing it for 8 years. It's my job. You know Miss Sally? And I said, Miss Sally, what if I told you I can help you cut that down in half, or maybe more? Would you be interested? She goes, of course, but, I go, but what? I'm retiring in 2 years. I don't want to learn anything new. All I want to use is Excel. Now you know Miss Sally. Change is hard. I go, Miss Sally, it's cool. I'm going to show you a feature in Excel. What? I go, yeah, check this out. So it's out of the box. So let's say that project, we bought some stuff. We bought a projector, a computer. Here's a column called item, column called cost. I'm going to convert this to what's called an Excel table. Okay? And once it's an Excel table, check this out. In Excel, up comes sync with SharePoint. All right? So what I'm going to do, friends, I'm just going to take the web address of this SharePoint project site and pop it into this Excel spreadsheet. And here's the idea, gang. So let's call this the ILTA expenses, whatever, and hit publish. The idea here, in the spirit of SharePoint being a platform, working with all these technologies people use, Excel will log me in to this project site, create what's called a custom list for this project site, populate it with the information I have in Excel, and keep it in sync. Right? So here's the idea. The idea now is project managers will not email Miss Sally. In the spirit of having a one-stop shop, project managers will just enter project expenses in their project site. You all follow me? And as soon as they do that, an alert will go to Miss Sally saying, oh, the expenses were just updated. On her desktop, nowhere else, in her My Documents folder, she has this Excel file as a front end to the project expenses. So let me show you. So let me bring up that expense sheet. So this is it was built on, so ILTA expenses, all right, and check this out. Let me bring up my Mac environment again. Okay, so let's pop this in, gang. So same thing, it's going to show up in my Mac environment, and when the expense sheets show up, here's the new process. Project managers, instead of emailing expenses, they'll just enter it here. We bought a car for the project. If you don't realize what I'm just doing here, as a part of 2013, what am I doing? Data sheet view in Firefox on your Mac? Is that cool? So as soon as I did that, Miss Sally will get an alert. Hey, the project manager just updated it. In Excel, all she has to do is hit the button called sync. In fact, I can make that sync button show up in Excel. Bada bing, bada boom, voila. It's going to go out, grab that data, make it available in Miss Sally's copies of Excel on her desktop. She looks at this and goes, you guys didn't buy a car, you bought carpet. And it's $500. She can now then take the same data and push it back out to the project site. And as soon as she does that, let's hit, where's my expense sheet here? Let's hit refresh. You know, that car is now carpet with $500. Right? Isn't that cool? Now, I still see skeptical faces here being in the legal industry. Guys, you just talked about do more with less. We ain't got no money to upgrade to 2013 everything. Well, guess what? This is not a new feature. This Excel synchronization with SharePoint has been there since Excel 2003 and SharePoint 2003. It's a 10-year-old technology. And that's what I call social. Enhancing collaboration, communication, coordination for business purposes. Ever thought Excel would be social? So Miss Sally did that for the other 99 projects. She created 100 sheets in a summary sheet, and it's all syncing. 3 months later, I talked to her. I said, how's that going, Miss Sally? Boy, Doug, thank you. You know, instead of spending 6-7 hours, literally, Rob talked about productivity. This is productivity improvement. I only spend 4 hours, and I think I'll get better. I don't have to deal with email, dragging the stuff. What do you do with the 2 hours you save? I learned how to use Facebook. That's a different problem. But she even told me, she goes, Doc, you don't know how much this is savior for me, not only for me, for my company, because I used to do overtime to get these reports done on Friday night at the end of the month. No more overtime. At the partner level, ka-ching, 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 ROI, no more overtime for Miss Sally. Extrapolate that with a different line of business use cases you could do with a platform like this. Are you guys excited?
Yes.
Do you want to lead the revolution? Now, you see, when we talk about the enterprise social revolution, it's nothing new. It essentially boils down to making the most of what you have, and we're not doing that. Everything I showed, while it's in 2013, you can do today. Right? But to do it, it cannot be IT alone. You have to engage with the key business stakeholders and decision makers. You have to establish your roadmap. What are your priorities? It cannot be a willy-nilly, we're not doing anything today, maybe we'll do an upgrade. And then adoption has to be intentional so it will be sustainable. Now, let me ask you this. Are you ready to do this? I'm sure you are, because that's why you're here, right? Who's ready to take these steps to lead this revolution? Raise your hand. If you didn't raise your hand, you can leave now. Okay, if you're ready, stand up. We're going to close this up. Because I'm teaching you the 3 steps to take this revolution. All right, stand up. Stand up with me. All right, so here are the steps, okay? Stand up. All right, so you know the steps, right? So first, you got to put your hands together. That's a hand. So we talk about steps. Step 1, left. Step 1, left. Engage with business stakeholder. All right? Step 2, do your roadmap. Yeah? All right? Step 3, what's step 3? Facilitate sustainable adoption, which is right foot again. And do that twice. Right. You got that? All right, let's try this. All right, put your hands together. Okay, right foot. Step 1, engage with business stakeholder. Step 2, build your roadmap. Step 3, facilitate sustainable adoption. All right, you ready? All right, when the chorus kicks in, you got to show me, you got to prove you're ready to lead. All right? Good. Together?